Jake Debrusk this season, and the idea of him as a trade piece and a trade chip. Do you re-sign him or do you send him packing?
Bye-bye. I'm thumbs down on Jake Debrusk, and yeah, I would not re-sign him. And if you could somehow parlay, look, I mean, let me give you the guys that I think are expendable. And if you can spin this into a hockey trade that gets you, I don't know how this gets you a number one center, but okay, but Ullmark, some combination of Carlo Grizzlick, one of those two, if not both. I mean,
you don't like Brandon Carlo much, right?
That's not,
yeah.
And I think the Brandon, the Carlo Grizzlick thing, I mean, how long are we going to be at this now? Like, it's just not good enough. And with Laurie, Grizzlick should be expendable. But so Ullmark, some combination of Carlo Grizzlick, if not both, Debrusk. Okay, so those are four younger players. Ullmark's not, you leave that out of it, but he's a Vezina Trophy winning goalie. Three young players, top four defensemen, top six forward. You're going to have to sign those guys so they don't have terms. So I know that's going to weaken the return, but those are real players. And I think some combination of that, can I get a real hockey trade in there? Can I get a real, it feels like they don't exist anymore. Player for player, this for that, the kind of Harry Sinden thing that he did all the time. But that's what I think they need. And that's where I would start with those players. I would start with those players. And Debrusk might be, I think Grizzlick's number one on my list, but Grizzlick Carlo's number one on my list. Goalie's number one on my list. What am I saying? They all can go. Debrusk can go. Bye-bye. I don't trust him. He got Cassidy fired. He's already screwing around this year to begin the year. The production's not there. Fine. When he was with Bergeron and Marchand, of course, he put up points. Everyone puts up points. You'd put up points. But without that,
I think I'd have some success with Bergeron and Marchand. Yeah, I'll admit it. I think I would.
Pounded into the open net. But short of that, he just doesn't produce on his own. Bye. Enough of Jake Debrusk.
Yeah, I think the worst case this season's been worst case scenario because he's not producing. So I guess you could maybe get him back on the relatively cheap, but also if you wanted to trade him, which again it's looking more and more like that might have to be the case, his value has gone down. That's the real bad part of this. Is I mean, in the offseason, if you really were to trade him, he would be worth a first round pick. He's a potential 30-goal scorer. A team would bite on that. A guy you can put in your top six. And just the inconsistency here and sort of what's taken place this year. And you know what's funny? Like, I haven't hated his game away from scoring. Like, he's fine in his own zone. He's responsible. I'm all for that. But the production is what matters with a guy like him. You drafted him to produce. And my worry right now is, what are you getting in a deal? Like, are you selling so low on him? And again, you might have to, because if you're going to let him walk in free agency, you might as well get something for him. So that is my worry. In terms of hockey trades, I would love that. My only worry with some of that, and I hate to be Mr. Warrior with all the, things I have against these things, but, a lot of people point out the Pavel Zacha trade, right? And how they traded, Zacha, who was a high ceiling player who hadn't panned out, kind of like a Jake Debrusk, for a proven, what you're going to get, but he's a lower ceiling guy like Eric Holla, which is just kind of what New Jersey did. My worry would be if you're to trade Jake Debrusk in a hockey trade, a 1-for-1, not like package, but a 1-for-1, you would be getting someone back who, yes, you're sure of, but there's not much potential there. I don't know. Maybe it's just not a shiny enough new toy for me. But that's sort of a worry I have with that. So, but I agree. I do think you need to find a way to get a number one center at some point. Again, I don't know if you have the assets to really do it though, because other teams have better draft picks, better prospects to trade, and the Bruins really just don't have that. So I don't know how you go about that.
Someone who knows the league better than me would have to look at it and see a highly touted number one center kind of prospect who's been drafted high in the last couple of years. His existing team is a little frustrated with him, or he hasn't.
Lindholm and Calgary is the one. I think that's the one everybody has.
So again, I don't watch a ton of his games. So someone who knows the league better than me is going to have to fill in that blank. Because you're right, you're not going to draft a guy. I don't know how you get a top 10 pick. That's not going to happen. So it's got to be someone who was projected as that, hasn't quite panned out early in his career, and you can somehow unlock him, and that's just what it's going to have to be. I don't want to trade Jake Debrusk for Eric Holla. No, that's not the idea. It's for another young prospect who's got upside.
Yes. No, I'm in complete agreement with you on that.
FanDuel is the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Right now, new customers Get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
One last thing, because I'm open this with Patriots, and I think it's an interesting thing, and you have a more well-rounded perspective on this. I don't cover the Patriots. I don't opine about the Patriots or anything. But do you think there's ever a world, and I feel like I know the answer here, but I kind of want to just ask the question. Do you think there's a world in which the Bruins ever surpass the Patriots in attention in this market, or no? Those days are over.
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, let's be real about what we are here as hockey people. It's still a niche sport, and we're in the niche, so we get it. We're passionate about it, and this happens to be a town, maybe one of 5 in America, maybe less. I don't know. That sort of the hockey team can be the hottest team in town. Like, there's not many places in the U.S. where that exists. This is one of them, and that's great. Believe me, because I love the sport. I love being able to talk about it on a daily talk show. But let's just be real about what it is. Look, if they're in the Stanley Cup final for those 2 weeks, they'll be number one in town. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like the actual number one team in town, no. I think the Celtics can be, basketball can be, because basketball is a sport that sort of gravitates towards more casual fans. It's an easy sport. It's kind of for kids love it. It's easy to watch. It's easy to digest. Hockey's a little tougher. And so, no, I think the Celtics have a chance to be the number one team in town. I don't think the Bruins ever will.
Yeah, no, I guess it's a dream of mine for hockey in general for this market, but I think you think back to, again, I wasn't alive for it, but there was a time when the Red Sox were number one, right? And the Patriots were way down. But again, that was the effect of Brady and Belichick and all that. So I guess you would need some sort of
Hockey's
dynasty.
Just not
for
going
the
to get
Bruins.
there, man. It's just,
yeah.
I don't think it was in the early 70s there for a time. I just don't know how that's duplicated.